HarperCollins presents Eddie Albert and the Amazing Animal Gang, The Amsterdam Adventure, written and read by Paul O'Grady. Also starring
Brian Bowles,
Eve Karpf,
Jack Ayres,
James Goode,
Linda Thorson,
Lizzie Waterworth Santo,
Paul Panting,
Rimba Temple-Smith,
and Stephanie Racine.
Hello, my name's Paul O'Grady, and I'd like to dedicate this book to everybody, young and old, who talk to their animals. Here's the prologue. Do you have a secret? Is there anything about you that you'd much rather keep to yourself? Maybe you've done something in the past that you're ashamed of. You might have told a big fat lie, or invented wild stories about yourself and your family, when really you don't live in a mansion or own a pony, but actually live in a perfectly ordinary house or flat. You might have an unusual hobby or interest that you don't talk about in case people who don't understand these things think you're a bit weird. Then, of course, there's that nasty habit you might have that you'd rather no one knew about, like nose picking, eating belly button fluff, or the worst, not wiping your bum. Ugh. This story is about a young boy called Eddie Albert, who had an amazing secret. If you sat next to him on a bus or walked past him in the street, you'd be forgiven for thinking that he was just an ordinary 10-year-old boy. A bit scruffy, perhaps, not very tall, and with an unruly mop of blonde hair, but nothing in the least bit remarkable about him. Well, you'd be wrong. For Eddie Albert possessed a truly extraordinary talent, a unique skill that he really should have been very proud of. Only he wasn't. He was extremely secretive about his hidden talent, determined that nobody should ever find out about this awesome gift that he saw as more of a curse. It had got him into trouble at school several times, and today was one of those days. And it all started because of a mouse. Chapter 1. Eddie wasn't really what you'd call naughty. He wasn't a bad kid at all. In fact, he was quite the opposite. But trouble seemed to have a nasty habit of following him around, and it usually involved animals. Once, Mr. Broad, the PE teacher, had gone ballistic when he found Eddie on the school roof, but Eddie hadn't shinned up the drain pipe and onto the flat roof for a dare or to show off. In fact, he'd wanted to rescue a seagull that was trapped between two planks left there by the builders who were repairing the roof. Nevertheless, Eddie had been hauled off to the headmaster's office and given a long lecture on health and safety and the stupidity of little boys who like to impress their friends by climbing on roofs. He'd been late for school on a number of occasions, as he was always stopping to help lost or injured animals when he took a shortcut through the park. One winter's morning he came across a grass snake that was half frozen from the cold. So he popped it into his rucksack to get warm. Once it was nice and toasty, the snake woke up and decided to go for a little slither around, which of course happened during English class. Eventually, it settled on Miss Pike's foot. The English teacher fainted. And once again, Eddie found himself standing before the headmaster's desk. The man couldn't understand how it was possible for such a quiet little boy to get into so much trouble. Eddie loved all animals, and people thought he had a special way with them.
It's as if he can understand them.
Mr. Alley, who ran the local shop, would say,
My cat likes to sit on the step, and Eddie always stops to talk to her on his way to school. Now, my cat is very fussy and doesn't take to strangers, but she loves Eddie. She meows and purrs and wriggles about, and he answers her. Quite a conversation they have. As I said, it's as if he can understand her.
The thing was, Eddie could understand animals. Highly improbable as it sounds, Eddie Albert could converse with mammals, birds, fish, and even snails.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?